Welcome to today's yoga practice where we're going to work on shoulder and neck release. So any of this tightness we feel up in the upper body, let's sort of dissipate that and let that relax and soften. So that tends to happen a lot when we feel stressed, when we're cold, when we don't take in enough air down into the lower belly. If we start to breathe up into this top third of the chest a little bit more and not so much into our primary breathing center, which is the belly, we can tend to find this tightness, and it just sort of creeps up, and it could be over the course of time, or it could have been just a stressful day or week. So let's work on that today. What you will need is some kind of long strap-like thing. So it could be a belt or a scarf or even a sweatshirt. You can just hold on to the two ends of it, or two sleeves. Just make sure it's not too stretchy so that we have a little bit of resistance here, okay? And you'll also need, it doesn't have to be one of these yoga type blankets. It can be a towel or any kind of blanket that you are able to fold. So I'm going to recommend right away, we're going to actually fold it, roll it, not just fold it, but fold it in half a couple times and then roll it up so that it creates this little burrito, okay? So you'll have that burrito for you for actually when we get started. So you're gonna place that then in the middle of your mat, and you can always make this a little smaller by unrolling it some, or switching where you rolled it up, but I'll keep it right here for now, and then have this here. And I forgot to say, I'm Ashley, so welcome. My name is Ashley. If you have questions, you can always leave a comment or reach out to me at Ash's Yoga, and I'm happy to assist. And this is Ash's Yoga Studio, so let's get started with our shoulder neck release yoga practice. We're going to start lying down. So if you take your back to the end of your blanket or whatever you have rolled up, lay back on this, so it should be a gentle heart opener. So it's allowing the front of the body to open, and you could always, take a block or something else or a pillow underneath your head, but that's up to you. So make sure this is comfortable. You want to adjust accordingly. Now this might feel like it might be actually a little bit too much for me, or I might just scooch down a little bit. Just find that place where you can broaden through the shoulders, relax your arms, and let your legs usually hang out, usually knees together or cross legs, or knees or feet together with knees open wide. If you start to lengthen legs forward, that's going to put a little bit of pressure on the back, and we're not quite warmed up yet. So a little bend in the knees, or somewhere where we can also gently open up the hips. So this is where we're going to set up our breath. Coming into this space by drawing your awareness to that inhale and the exhale. Now, instead of just breathing up in the top of the lungs, let's bring that down. Really focus on drawing that breath, that energy, the prana, what we work on, down towards the lower belly. And yes, your chest, your shoulders, all of that will expand as you take that full breath. But it's not until the very end. We can call this more like a 3-part breath. I like that name for it. So part number 1 is that belly. Part number 2 is the rib cage. And part number 3 is the the chest, to fill the breath. And then you go from part number 1, again, exhale, first out through the belly, then lower the shoulders, the chest, the rib cage, and then the chest. So we're going to keep doing that. Belly, rib cage, chest, belly, rib cage, chest, with a few deep inhales and exhales. Now, if this blanket does become too much for you, or it's just a little bit much for that position, right now lying down is enough of a back bend for you, then you can take the blanket and make it just into a pillow, or just let it go altogether to work on this breath. Another way that's helpful is to take one hand to your belly, one hand to your heart or to your chest, And feel first that hand that's on the belly rise, and then the in-between, and then the hand on the heart. And then feel that hand on that belly lower, then the in-between, and the hand on the heart lowers. Let's just take a few more breaths. Good, and slowly, let's start to wiggle those fingers and toes and draw the knees up. We'll press onto, into a seated pose, so pressing onto our sit bones. And how we do that, you release any props that you have underneath you, roll to your side, and press your way gently up to a seated pose. Now you still have this blanket, so you can unroll it if it's helpful to lift and elevate your hips a little higher. It could be a towel, it could be a blanket, it could be a block that you're sitting on. You can create a little more space to help those hips and feel comfortable in the seated pose. We're going to be here for a little while working on this area, okay? All right, so take a big breath and reach up, and then simply just float the hands down into your lap. And as you do that, take your chin down to your chest, drawing those shoulder blades down and away from the ears. Rock your head to the right, then chin to chest, and rock your head to the left. And we're going to do that just a few times back and forth, just to be able to notice if there's any certain specific stuck points. If one side feels a little more tight than the other, become aware of that. And we keep breathing deep even through this. And if it's comfortable for you and your neck feels okay, you can take full rotations, circling all the way around. And just going whichever direction and switching when you need to. Bring your head back up to a neutral position. Take a gaze over the left shoulder or the right, pick a side. And then take your gaze over the other shoulder. Back to the center. Good, good, here we go. So we'll take our hands now, reach them all the way up. Soften the shoulders. Good, bend the elbows, press them back, squeeze the shoulder blades. So you got this bend in the elbows. Take the right hand behind your back and grab your left wrist. So left wrist, right hand is grabbing it. Pull, take that right elbow out to the side, and then the right ear to the right shoulder. Now keep your head up just a little so that we are looking straight forward and you're feeling directly on the side of the neck, on the left side. And then take the chin just slightly pointed down. And we're going to stay on this side, release the wrist, and take your right hand and press into the left shoulder or that meaty part of the neck, shoulder area. So you're giving yourself a little self-massage. So you can lift your head back up, but it's still tilted to the side as you just do little fingertips and pressing into that tight area. There's always a tight area for all of us somewhere. And you might hold 2 or 3 fingers down and just hold. Relax the left arm. I mean, how many of you give yourself a little self-massage? Ever? Sometimes? I know we appreciate it though when others do it, but we can do this, at least in a small way ourselves. All right, we'll release that. Give your left shoulder a few little rolls. We've got the other side. So that means let's take their hands and reach them up. Good, and then take your hands down, bend the elbows, press the elbows back. Now take the left hand and grab the right wrist, left hand behind your back. Pull it so the left elbow is out to the side. And we take the left ear to the left shoulder. And then bring that chin down just a little bit. Look down towards the floor. Feel the back, right side of the neck. Good, and release the hands, let that go. But keep your left ear towards the left shoulder. Use your left hand to press down on the right side, right shoulder, right neck area. Just a few presses there. It doesn't take long. Give it a couple seconds and then move on to the next spot. See where is it exactly that you're feeling that tension. And keep that fluid breath even though you're feeling quite a lot. Good, release that. Give both shoulders a little roll. Let's actually roll our shoulders a few times. Everybody, shoulders forward, up and around. And then do the opposite direction. Then take the shoulders way up. Try to touch your ears and then a full release. Do that 2 more times. Lift and squeeze, create tension. Let it go. 1 more time. Let it go. Good. Okay, we're going to keep going. And we're keep releasing these shoulders and this tight area of the body. So if you ever need to switch directions or crossing of the legs, please do. We'll be here a little longer. You're going to take those hands out to the side. Flip the palms and then unflip. Or reflip the other direction. So like you're screwing in light bulbs to the right and the left, do some rotation stemming from the shoulders. See if you can get a little farther in that rotation from counterclockwise to clockwise, right to left. And then palms face up, reach long, wide, super wide, reach wall to wall. Then take your hands and touch your shoulders. Touch them. Good. Open up. Press the hands back a little bit more. So you've got the thumbs back, palms up. Touch your shoulders. Open up. And one more time, touch the shoulders. But bring the elbows forward, up and around. So let's do these shoulder rolls now. Touching the shoulders. Elbows connect to the front and then around. And if they don't connect, that's okay. Switch directions. And then bring those hands and elbows, shoulders, everything down. Awesome. So we're still feeling pretty good. Hopefully shoulders are feeling something. We've got 1 more before we add on to some movement down the body a little lower. But let's take this strap. So your strap, your belt, whatever you have, your sweatshirt, we're going to grab onto it about a little wider than shoulder distance. And if you've got metal pieces here, just be mindful of them. So about shoulder distance. And this next exercise is called shoulder flossing. So it's sort of like flossing your teeth in a way, but it's really getting into all the creaks and the cracks of the shoulders. So you're going to lift the hands out in front of you, straight arms with a slight bend in the elbows. So not super bent, but also not hyperextending. So slight bend in the elbows. Lift the strap above your head, hands above your head. And then before, try to get the hands back to touch the ground behind you, but you may find that you need to widen the hands. Maybe a little, maybe a lot. And that's that flossing area we want to get into. Right at the back, right above the shoulders. So we go up and down. Don't worry too much of the forward motion. So we go above the head and to the back of the body. And at your own pace, taking this strap just right in that area it needs to be. Then taking this strap right above the head, you can maybe go a little wider. Right hand comes down to the floor, left arm goes straight up. Press the elbow back, look up. Good, switching sides, lift and inhale. Exhale, take it down. One hand, left hand touching down, right hand pressing back, look up. And back up to the top. Good, we'll take the hands down, the strap down, because that's a lot on the hands. So give your hands some rotation, some finger wiggles, maybe stretch the thumbs out, the fingers, give them some shakes. So let's take that strap aside and move on just a little lower down the body, down to the waist, but still working into some shoulder releasing techniques, okay? Reach those arms up. Let's take a simple twist. Right hand comes down to the left knee, left hand behind you, look back. It's important to hit different directions and movements of the spine. Even though this lesson is focused on the shoulders, we can get into more of that spinal movement and core strength, which will help support our breath, our deep breath into the belly, and also our posture. So with that right hand on the knee, take that left arm and reach it up in front of you. And maybe even add a little side bend, sort of like what we just did, just slightly different. Look up towards that left hand. Good, and then release that, bring that left hand down. Both arms reach forward and up. Inhale, exhale, other hand to the knee, left hand to the knee, right hand at the base of the back, look behind you. And then take that right hand, reach it up, maybe even lean it to the side a little. Look up towards the right hand. And then release that right hand comes down. Both arms reach up, sweep up. Let's take it to the hands and knees. So we're going to take the hands down. You can swing the legs around or roll onto the knees, so you're on both hands and knees. If you want a blanket or a towel underneath the knees, that might be helpful for support, for if your knees don't feel so great on a hard floor. So let's stack this up here. Shoulders over the wrists and hips over the knees. Arch the back, look up. Then round the back and look down. Now I'm going to challenge you a little bit here. Not a challenge, but just, hey, telling you to do this. To focus more on the thoracic spine, that place between the shoulder blades, upper back. So around in the rib cage and the shoulders, less about that lower back and what it's doing, but seeing if we can get more mobile around the lungs, the heart, the rib cage, the stuck areas between the shoulder blades. And then coming back to our neutral position, so this nice tabletop pose. Keep the knees and hips as they are. Walk the hands forward and melt the heart down. Chin down or forehead down, that's up to you. Reach the hands forward. Add a little more internal rotation to the hands, meaning thumbs would be up and pinkies would be down, to feel that expansion through the chest, shoulders, and upper back. And in coming out of this, you shift forward a little bit to help you. Walk your hands back, and we've got one more pose on right and left sides in this position. So first we'll take the right hand, reach it up high behind you, or to the side of you, above you, and then slide it underneath that left shoulder all the way through. So left hand's on the ground, maybe tenting in the fingertips to help you press, or you can take that left hand behind the back. That might be an option for you today. So we press into the back of the right hand, shoulder on the floor, head on the floor. It's a thread the needle pose. Okay, take that left hand back down to the ground. We'll switch it, but first slide yourself up, reach that right arm up high, hold it there. Now rotate the arm again like we did when we went wall to wall, like you're screwing in a light bulb, left and right. And one more deep breath in, try to expand in this, exaggerate it, and place that right hand down. Switch sides. Left arm reaches up, slide it through underneath the right shoulder. Right fingertips are tented down or around the back, finding that good place for you. And then take that right hand back down to the ground, rising back up, left hand reaches up. Do that light bulb twist. And then place the hands down to the floor. Good, next up, and we won't be here for too long, it's a little strengthening with the shoulders and upper body. And lengthening with the lower body. Let's take the hands forward about a hand distance. Tuck the toes under and lift the hips up and back to downward facing dog. Here too, we can try to press the heart through the shoulders. So the chest down towards the thighs. Bend one knee at a time, just pedaling the feet in your downward facing dog. Relax the neck. We'll walk the feet forward to the top of the mat. We'll do a couple standing poses, but not a whole lot, and we'll come back down very shortly. Bend the knees, grab the elbows, and just let the head hang. Let it hang. Let the upper body grow heavy. Good, release the hands and slowly rise to standing. Now let's keep the feet about hip distance apart for good stability. Reach those arms up tall, inhale. Take the hands behind the back, interlace the fingers, press the palms down, look up. And then fold it forward once more. Sway from side to side or add a little knee bend right to left. Good, and then release the hands and hug your legs. You might have bent knees here, hugging them, or you might have, belly to thighs and chin to the shins. Give yourself a little hug. Good, and then release that. Take your hands down to the floor. walk them back to the ground, and we're coming back down. So from here, knees down, sit back, and we're back. Take your feet, though, in front of you. Feet hip distance apart, chest lifted, hands behind you, hands underneath the shoulders. And this might be enough here if you squeeze the elbows and lift. This is a great place to be in to get that heart expansion, squeezing the shoulders, relax in the upper body and neck. Or for a little more strength, and just to try it, reverse tabletop. Lift the feet, lift the hips, press into the feet. Try to get the hips to shoulder or hip height. Look up. Up meaning straight up, not behind you. Now the hand position, it varies from person to person. Your hands might be a little more outward, or the fingers might be facing the heels, or a different variation. Let's come down. Come back to a simple seated pose. Take one arm across the body for a shoulder stretch. The other arm sort of locks it into place. Draw the shoulder down away from the ears. And then switch, other side. I'm going to run into my microphone here. And then release that. Take your hands, reach up, big circle up. Interlace the fingers, press the palms to the sky, pinkies to the back of the room. Look up. Big inhale, exhale, let it go. So now sitting up tall in this comfortable place, close your eyes. We'll finish this practice with a short meditation. Just simply allowing the breath to come back into that three-part sensation. Belly, rib cage, chest, and exhaling belly, rib cage, chest. As your shoulders grow softer, imagine your body exactly the way you want it to be. Pain-free, loose, mobile, flexible, and strong. Relaxed in the shoulders. So with each exhale, even repeating that simple word, relax, or soften, melt, enjoy, release, or surrender. Let's take a minute or so right here to do all of those things, but really only one. Just choose a word that works for you. Then turn the corners of your lips up just slightly for that smile. Palms up. Blink the eyes open. Concluding our practice, reach those hands up overhead one last time. Connect the hands at the top and then draw them down to your heart. Keep it in there. Keep this deep breath with you throughout the day. Check in with it. Sit taller, breathe deeper, feel calmer. One more inhale, thumbs to the heart. Let it go. Exhale. Thank you so much for joining in this practice. Have a lovely day. Namaste.